Hello everybody, it's your boy Proftrof and we're back again with another Mandalore video. This is his Space Station 13 review. Okay, I've seen Seth's Space Station 13 review, so I'm curious to see his polar opposite or his other head do another review, so we'll be checking this out. Before we start, it has been given to my attention, that's not how you use words, that one of the developers of Space Station 13 that's helped out stuff he had some problems. Their house is fucked. His floor fell through, so he's gonna need some cash to recover, and he has a kid. Shit's not good. So if you guys are interested in helping the dude out, I'll put his GoFundMe in the description. Check out his story, it's quite sad. Yeah, do that if you are curious. Figure I posted in a Space Station 13 related video, right? So it's not a little weird to be in some other video. Anyway, after all that, let's get to it. We haven't checked out the Mandalore video in a while, and people have asked me this for a while now, so let's check it out.
New command report created.
This game is about living on a space station
With idiots.
with some job hazards.
Oi, actual aliens.
Space Station 13 is officially described as being a top-down, role-playing multiplayer game, but that really feels way too simple for it, especially when you consider all the features it has compared to other space games that have come out recently. Though technically this game has conversions that move it more away from just being a space station, but we'll talk about that later. Oh god. It's worth noting that this game has been around for over 13 years now, and is pretty unrecognizable from its earlier version. So it's been around long before the whole retro pixel graphics thing that indie developers love so much. But honestly, I don't know if the game could work without really simple graphics. I don't think we need to see heart surgery. There are a ton of jobs in Space Station 13, and some are unique to their server. So if you can inject someone with a furry virus in Space Station...
Staff assistant, chef, barman, chaplain, a janitor, a botanist, clown, job of the day, gimmicks, jobs, engineer, mechanic, miner, columnist, medical doctor, geneticist, roboticist, scientist, security officer, detective, chief engineer, medical director, research director, head of security, head of personnel. That's a lot of heads, brother. Antagonist roles. Changeling, nuclear operative, traitor, wizard, vampire. There is fucking vampires. Wraith, blob, werewolf, predator, grinch. A monkey. You can be an actual monkey. But I'm already a monkey IRL, brother. Well, that won't
some
be
are unique to
game.
their server. So if you can inject someone with a ton of jobs in Space Station 13, and some are unique to their...
Anything new here? Engineer, medical science chief, operator. Oh, construct ghost mouse. Cyborg, a voxerator, a revolutionaries.
Their server. So if you can inject someone with a furry virus and lock them in a prison, how come every big Let's Player isn't playing this game all the time? Well, before I can talk about how much I love it, I have to talk about the big hurdles it has. If the visuals weren't retro enough for you, don't worry. Installing the game will bring you right back a decade or two. The game was built for a really shit client. A beyond shit client. It's called Beyond, or maybe Beyond. I don't think it matters, but either way you need this to play the game. So while that's downloading, you make an account. By the way, make sure you're 13. So this is the client. You can browse Space Station 13 servers from here, or directly connect to one through an IP.
Mafia.
You can also browse games on the website, but either way you're gonna have to launch it through the client. So the game is free, you just have to install this thing that looks like it should be giving you malware every second. When you do see the server you want, the game will start downloading data, and then it'll play an advertisement for you.
Meet the ordinary heroes. They don't have statues erected in the...
I now have full access to your systems.
But if the ads are too much for you, VG Station put together a nice little list of ways to avoid them. But once the map loads, you're finally almost in the game. Like most role-playing games, you need to make your character here. You decide what they look like, what their occupation preferences are, what their name is. It's really picking your job that's the most important part. If you're brand new to the game, or even some stations, it's good to pick assistant. You get to explore around since no one really expects anything of you. Any of the other grade jobs are a good choice after you've done some assistant work. You're less likely to be screamed at for not doing good at these jobs. But I guess that really depends on your server spectrum. So if we look at another server, hey wait, this character creator's a little different. There's different jobs here too. So what's happening? I know I haven't even started on the
Internal
gameplay
affairs
yet, but
agent.
we're gonna need to talk about some history to help you understand what's going on here. I don't want to bore you, so I won't go too into detail.
Bore me, daddy.
Okay, so Space Station 13 was started in 2003 by a guy named him. It had atmospheric simulations and held about less than 10 players, but it rolled out more features over the years. There were very few people, including the creator, who actually had the source files. But then in 2006, the code was literally stolen by someone with a flash drive. He then hosted his own server, but only shared the compiled code. But then someone had a reverse engineering tool for Beyond, so they could crack that. So they had an almost the source code version, which they then decided to make open. Then something awful noticed the game. The goons hammered out their own story of the setting, which most people accept today. Some smaller communities worked on their own version of the game, but Goons Station had a closed source version. Their code was by far more advanced, and in 2010 they made a public release of it, but they would lock up all future versions. So then traditional games and Bay 12 games made their own systems based off of the Goon code. A few
Clarify what is happening. My brain is already at the what? I don't even understand half the word he's saying. Codes, biomes, advancements of codes. I don't understand, brother. I play games. I don't develop them. New branches were based off of Goon Station code.
based off of the Goon code. A few other communities like Yog Station and Face Punch came in, and they made their own versions too. So everyone did their own thing until Goon code was stolen and leaked this year. There were a mix of reactions about this. Some people wanted to use the code for themselves, others said it shouldn't be touched because it was stolen. A great debate began, with entire dozens of players voicing their opinions. Goon Station made a new public release, and TG made a third branch to try and develop off of it. Plus, people were making spin-off games off of Space Station 13. There were spin-offs involving away missions, or Fallout 13, or Colonial Marines. Versions. So while a lot of jobs and the general idea of Space Station 13 is shared by these servers, years of different development paths have made them, well, a little different. So while there are going to be variations, I'm hoping to give you a general idea of what's going on here. So while I could cover departments, like command or security, I can't go through every job, but I can talk about the ones most stations have. Okay, I think we're good to go. Let's start the video game. Truth be told, I haven't been showing you the full UI, so I'm gonna zoom that out.
Oh no.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, yeah,
There's not a ton of animations in this game, so you need to look at this window to figure out what's going on, and also to see what people are saying. If you joined right when a round started, you'll usually spawn in your workplace. The icons down at the bottom here are for managing your inventory. You have pockets, suit slots, backpacks, anything you can think of really. The icon on the far left is for your clothing. You can always right-click on an item if you want to examine it, or if you want to use a special function of it. Turning on suit sensors is usually a good idea when a round starts. You right-click on objects to examine them or to pick up items. For messing with containers, doors, and machines, you'll need a double-click. But be careful. Make sure you have an empty hand. Clicking in this game can be dangerous. You gotta pay attention. Good thing he's wearing a hard suit.
Wait,
I
what?
could have ruined someone else's game. Have an empty hand. Clicking in this game can be dangerous. You gotta pay attention. Good thing he was wearing a hard
Oh,
suit.
he shot him.
I could have ruined someone else's
Okay.
game by being incompetent, but luckily that didn't happen this time. It takes getting used to, but you need to be careful where you're clicking. The buttons on the bottom right determine how you interact with people, so you
What
might be
are
hugging
you?
them instead of punching them. The others are for other item interactions. It's hard to be precise and pretty
God.
clunky at times, but for a game like this it works fine. You just need to get used to it. Some item use can get pretty tricky. I'd say one of the first true tests of your mastery of the system is being able to light a cigarette without lighting your head on fire. You'll feel pretty satisfied with the results. You use the arrow keys to move around, and you might have some special actions up in that object tab. Alright, so how's this game played? The short answer is, do your job. I'll show you an example round. In this round I'm playing Officer Wilson,
Okay.
and while he may not know the station, he knows the streets. Space security means arresting wrongdoers, not murdering them. At least until things get really bad and the captain orders you to shoot on sight. But this time the clown has been slipping me and other officers all around, and someone has reported him breaking into research and development. But he keeps giving us the slip. He's brought in to be interrogated by the head of security and some other officers when he finally gets arrested. The captain got a report there could be a traitor on the station, and apparently
Okay, don't slip security, please. Secondly, Relan Panakan assistant has arrived on station. It was just a prank, says Shiggy Diggingtons. Apparently we got a person claiming you were mighty suspicious, huh?
He's #1 suspect.
He's a clown,
This
of
is
course,
pretty
suspicious.
routine. Being the clown means annoying as many people as you can and tripping them on banana peels. Got him. But then a report comes in that
Got
someone
him.
suspicious has been prowling around the station, disabling security devices. So me and a cyborg patrol the east side. But wait, who's this man in the chapel? I see. Probable cause. And he's running for it. I've got my space
What was the
taser.
Oh, he's deactivated the security camera.
I see.
Okay.
Probable cause. And he's running for it. I've got my space taser. Time for space law.
Space taser. What you gonna do? Bro, I need to
This time
rewatch
the
those
captain
movies.
showed up to the interrogation. But thanks to a weaselly space lawyer, we have to settle it in space court now. The audience gets popcorn and security is pretty tight. This is because space court is like Christmas for space Unabombers. But then court takes a recess due to the outbreak of a deadly disease. I catch it trying to keep order in medical. People's skin is literally melting off of their bodies.
Attention.
Oh.
Command report.
Oh, it's a little late for this. The surgeons don't know what's happening to me, but the
Oi.
disease may have given me mutant powers, so I decided to try that out. I just shapeshift into someone else. This disease is pretty strange, but it gets even stranger when I decide to burst into flames and melt all of my flesh off, killing me instantly. So now I'm a ghost, and watching the station descend into pure chaos. But then a geneticist takes my body, regenerates my nerve tissue, and brings me back from the dead as a living skeleton. So now I'm Officer Wilson the Undead.
A what? You mean a necromancer?
The station descend into pure chaos. But then a geneticist takes my body,
Geneticist? Is that what we call necromancers nowadays? I'm sorry.
regenerates my nerve tissue,
I am sorry.
and brings me back from the dead
I'm a
as a
little
living
rough on my
skeleton.
D&D.
So now I'm Officer Wilson the Undead Cop, and I don't need to eat or drink anymore. But this station needs to be cleaned up of crime. And I say ack a lot now, because I'm a skeleton.
Ack, ack.
It's hard for the Force to accept the new me. I pick up bad habits.
Hit that nigga! Knock him out!
But then the station passes through a radiation belt, which kills or maims
Oh.
enough of the survivors to justify the shuttle being called. The shuttle takes off, the survivors escape, and that's one round of Space Station 13 completed. That was a story from one game, and that was just my perspective. If I'd been someone like a janitor, I'd just be trying to keep the floors clean of infected blood, not arresting vandals. And that's the beauty of the game. Everyone has a
Arresting
job. Most of them are
vandals.
super fleshed out. Even jobs you don't think are that vital, like a janitor, can actually do a lot more than you think. The more the station looks like a shithole, the more people will act like it. So a janitor is the first line of defense against complete anarchy.
Chaos is a ladder.
So your objective in the game is to do your job, and some stations even throw in more specific sub-objectives. I would call the setting a realistic cartoon. That sounds weird, so let me explain that. You're affected by hunger, temperature, and
Oh.
can be depressurized. But there's a threat of a space wizard from the Wizard Federation showing up. He might animate objects to come alive and attack you. You can adjust the pressure of oxygen canisters and other equipment, and there's even fully functional atmospheric simulations.
What?
But the ship surgeon could be a vampire. Watch out for the wormholes that break the space-time continuity, and the people in the chapel sacrificing a human being to save them from the wormholes. Wait,
Bring
it worked?
Harambe back.
Oh, I guess security doesn't allow ape deities, but if you're good at electronics, feel free to rewire the station. But
Jeez,
what
you can
about
do so
playing
many
the
things in
bad
this.
guys? I know about that too, because I'm a bad guy. Speaking of which, let me just break the flow of the video by showing this product I found.
Was that the
Hey,
Emperor?
what's up guys? You need to check this out. You could be giving money right now to people who got rejected from BuzzFeed to send you bobblehead shit every month. I've personally selected all these items, guys. You can get a 2% discount if you use the code AMACY at checkout.
Empire,
How about a
right?
straight up advertisement?
That looks like
Get a
Rome Total
2%
War.
discount if you use the code AMACY at checkout. How about a straight up advertisement? Back to the video. So during character setup, most stations will allow someone to opt into an antagonist role. These can range from traitors to aliens to malfunctioning AI, so every round
Vampires.
feels really different with what you're facing. One round might involve cultists. You'll get a surreal mystery like the King in Yellow.
Okay,
Maybe the ship AI has some new laws or is missing some, and is tired of you asking to open all the goddamn doors. These rounds are like 2001 if HAL 9000's lines were written by a straw poll.
Open the doors.
Jews are not humans and they breathe liquid plasma through their skin.
There are changelings based off the Thing,
Interesting.
xenomorphs from Alien. The lists really just go on. And if you haven't noticed by now, the game really is a casserole of sci-fi games and movies. It's pretty cool. So besides environmental dangers, you don't know who's a traitor or a monster. Guess an easy way to sum up the game would be saying that it's like Trouble in Terrace Town, but you get a job. As
you
far
just
as I
kill
know,
everyone?
you can't turn into a monkey in that game. But let me know if you can. Be careful. Having villains makes the round very paranoid. You have to wonder if a blackout is legitimate, or if someone's about to do something very naughty to the survivors. The interface is simple, but the gameplay is immeasurably complex.
That's a lot of
Also
blood.
free, I recommend anyone to come try this out. Just make sure to read the server rules, have the wiki open in another tab, and play Assistant for your first few rounds. I'm not kidding, read the server rules. Use the out-of-character chat if you have any questions. That being said, there's some reasons this game remains pretty unknown, besides the cancerous installation method. Rounds can start pretty smooth, but they can slow to a crawl performance-wise. It's typically not the server, it's usually Beyond. Now, I don't use Patreon, but if you've ever wanted to give me money, give it to a Space Station 13 server instead. Besides the fact they're working on new content for basically free, they're also doing it on a very, very shitty engine. There have been a lot of efforts to remake the game, or at least move it off the engine, but none have succeeded so far.
Oh.
Even if they're working on new content for basically free, they're also doing it on a very, very shitty engine. There have been a lot of efforts to remake
This would be cool as hell. If the game looked like this and played like this, I would play that shit.
the game, or at least
I mean, this does not look bad as well.
move it off the engine, but none have succeeded so far.
know
Even
what
if
the
I'm
fuck
not
that
sure
is.
this would work in first
Ooh.
person, this is really cool. Someone got this working in Doom. I know some of these are still kicking, but at this rate Dean Hall is gonna rip off, be inspired by Space Station 13. No worries, he loves his games. I only played the DayZ mod, but I've heard, interesting things about the standalone.
Give me a break.
Another big barrier is the game itself. It's just a lot to take in. Someone can find a job they
Yes, it
love,
is.
but they could get murdered early, or inconvenienced.
What the fuck?
Some people can't cope with this. Since we were talking about perspectives, I decided to bring in this expert player. He's played a lot longer than I have. As an expert, he's going to present a gameplay option that isn't listed,
Something feel like it's shattered in your head. You are sucked away by airflow. Your face becomes an unrecognizable mangled mess.
but when he's
Oi.
mastered, so let's get on to that.
How to play as a station shaft miner. You can mine my shaft, buddy.
Today we will be playing a very stimulating role, requires a lot of thought put into it, and it is extremely helpful to the station and probably the most vital role to the station. Alright, once the game starts up, we'll do our prep work. This here is the GPS locator. It is very important, so rename it to something that makes it easy to identify you.
Cunt,
Now that
perfect.
we're on the asteroid, our road to the Elite Four will begin. But we'll need to get our EVA suit and an oxygen tank, and then we'll be ready to mine.
Nice.
As you can see, mining is an extremely mentally stimulating and exhausting task, which is why it is deemed the thinking man's job in Space Station 13.
You finished picking the rock. Dwayne Johnson, buddy, where you at?
Now that we've got our ore, we'll need to smelt it down in order for us to make money. These funds will buy us our starter Pokemon.
So, while this dude is doing this, the station is probably on fire, right? Everyone's dying, vampires are around, wizards are turning everyone into monkeys, and crazy shit like that's happening, right?
Once
My boy's
smelted,
over here mining.
take the ore with you and leave it wherever. We don't care about it anymore, and no one else does. So find your way to the nearest ATM to put all that money made into your wallet. Sometimes people will ambush you and try to distract you from your path. In this case, it was easier to simply fulfill their devilish request than deal with the fallout. With the money we
Dude said
have,
psst.
we can purchase Kinetic Gun, which is the best starter Pokemon. Don't forget those Pokeballs and Max Revives. Next, we need to find the Pokemon, and as you might have noticed, there's no grass on this asteroid. Luckily for us, however, a fellow trainer ran into two
What are
Pokemon and
those?
was in trouble. I suggest using Kinetic Gun's Bubble Beam to wear down the enemy Pokemon. Once the Pokemon have been defeated, use Max Revive on them and catch them in your Pokeball. Now then, if we want to challenge
Well, I
the
thought he
other
was fucking around. He actually threw a Pokeball at it and
trainers, we'll need a larger team, so now we can use our Pokemon to help us catch even more. Don't forget to skin your Pokemon, it grows back and it functions as a nice trophy. What do we do with the Pokemon, you might ask? Well, that is up to the player.
Oi.
And that is how you become the Pokemon Master.
Okay, let's talk spin-offs. If you like the mechanics but want a different setting, there's some options. I didn't record a whole lot of this station because... If you wanted something more combat-focused, there's Colonial Marines. This one is based in the Aliens universe, and you can play as the Marines or the aliens themselves. The Marines try to secure the planet, and the aliens try to kill the Marines and take their ship. And just like the base game, you don't know what to expect.
Did you just nuke him? What?
One thing I found interesting is that the alien life cycle in this is based off of AVP Extinction. I didn't think many people played that game. Even though it could be pretty one-sided at times, I find this to be a really good game mode. The point-and-click combat's still pretty clunky, but they nailed everything else. There are respawns, but they're pretty long, so expect
it's a hit grabber thing.
There's also Fallout 13, which is set in the events of Fallout New Vegas.
Ooh.
It's okay. You still get attacked by cazadors all the time.
Oh, fuck. These things are insanely strong.
The game is clunky and typically slow-paced, but it just has a depth you're not getting in another game. It really goes to show what a community could put together when they're not screaming at each other. But screaming is part of the process for getting new features into this game. But it's free, so give it a whirl. Looking through comments, you guys wanted me to do this one the most. So
Legion, the Legend of Excalibur.
I'm taking that off the list. I'm also altering it a bit, so let me know what you want to see for the next two. I might do some Halloween things earlier.
Wait, did he
but
do
I can't
Metal
bring
Gear?
it a bit. So let me know what you
Wait, he did Phantom Pain?
want to see for the next two. I
Whoa.
might do some Halloween things earlier,
curious.
but I can't be sure yet.
In 2125, I was on a mining colony on Mars.
Pokemon Master. Station Consultant. Dunny.
Water facility among the stars. And then one day I was minding my own business.
Okay. Well, that was the Space Station 13 review. It was a lot different than sets. Like, my boy actually explained the game. Okay, well, I mean, it still looks very overwhelming. But I guess if you just stick to one role, you might learn it pretty quickly, right? If you're just a fucking janitor, you just go around cleaning shit. Probably some interesting stuff you can do, but you don't learn 15,000 roles at the same time. That's cool as hell. Anyway, let me know what y'all think. And yeah, I'll be playing some more Green Hell today. After we finish that, we're playing some Resident Evil 7, whenever that happens. I've never played that game, so it's gonna be interesting. You know, your boy's never afraid of anything, so horror games are nothing to me. Anyway, quick thank you to the YouTube members and the Patreons. Pedro Matias, Kamensko, Unit Suas, Derek Sinu Hilter, Lemon Monarch, Madash, Ronic, James Bond, Rueki, Dake 25, Michael Museo, Nicole Girgiev, Charlie Leroy, Olivia, and Sangri. Thank you all for the support, and catch y'all next time. Bye bye, everybody.